Hello everyone, hope you're all well. We're back here with another Ask the Fro Q&A. I'm your host Rabea, this is my afro, this is number 11, and today's video is sponsored by Musicism. So, Musicism is an awesome online learning platform. If you want to learn guitar, produce music or sing, you can do all of that for $9.99 a month. You have access to all of those courses. I did the guitar course, Dave did the production course, Hannah did the singing course. I'm very proud of the guitar course, and I know Hannah and Dave are proud of their courses too, and they're going to be doing other courses like music business and drums and all sorts of stuff like that. So if you are interested in learning some stuff, it is $9.99 a month for all of the courses. If you're outside the UK, it's $14.99 a month, and if you have never signed up before, you get 25% off that first payment. So I suggest you at least check it out. If you're interested, head over to musicism.net, links in the description box. Hello everybody, it's time for a Q&A. I've got questions. Thank you all for sending me these questions. It's always appreciated, and I do like the fact that people enjoy these videos. It's a lot of fun. So let's crack on. First question is from Elias Casula. He says, "Hey Beer, first of all, I want to thank you, Dave and Ben, for making such amazing music together." Thank you very much, dude. Says, "I've bought Fire by the Silos on day one and I'm still listening to it every time I have the chance. So I'm interested about how you, Dave, set your EQ to achieve the massive wall of distorted sound. I play bass, but in live scenarios, I always struggle to cut in the mix when I dial in fuzz or distortion, even if I blend with a clean signal, while you and Dave have always had such an intelligible sound. Keep on your great work." So I think basically what he's asking is, you know, how do me and Dave make sure that we cut through the mix evenly? It's worth saying that on the record, you know, obviously you layer stuff up and there's all sorts going on to reinforce that. Not too much, obviously there's multiple guitar layers and the bass is EQ'd to cut through the mix. And there's also some Moog bass synth going on there, so that reinforces everything. But in a live application, you'd be surprised actually how much, sort of how little low end there is in Dave's sound. It's obviously very punchy and bassy, but it's not subby. Dave has quite a mid-heavy sound. It's almost like a guitar, but it's, you know, it's meant to mash together with mine. It's almost like if you imagine a V, which is Dave, and then I slot in the top, and that's the guitar there, and it kind of, with little bits that poke through in between. For example, if you're into frequencies, I'd say like 1.6 kilohertz is Dave's kind of special frequency that he bumps up, and you can really hear that cut through the mix on his finger attack. But he doesn't sort of, I mean, what you hear when you hear him live is that's the dark glass stuff. The amplifier is on the clean, and he uses the B7K and like the vintage microtubes, and generally it's really mid-present, punchy. So he gets that low mid punch going on, and yeah, he just dials in a bit of extra high mid to cut through. And I have quite a warm overdrive. It's thick and it's warm, and whereas Dave's is a tiny bit more spiky because he plays with his fingers and it's a bit more dynamic, so the two just work really well together. So I hope that answered your question. In any case, thank you for enjoying the record. Next question is from Pop123410, and he says, "Do you make your own backing music?" The answer is yes. For the most part, what you hear in my vlogs and videos is my own creations, give or take a few that I have found on the Creator Studio on YouTube that were appropriate for that part of the video. Generally speaking though, I like to use my own music just because it's nice to try write other styles that fit really well within the subject matter of the vlog. So yeah, I guess the short answer is yes, and I'm going to keep doing it, you know. I've got the Native Instruments Complete Control and the Moog and stuff, and I'm trying to create a scenario in here where I can, you know, express the musical ideas that are in my head that are outside of bass, drums, guitar. So it's an ongoing journey. When I've got more time, I'm going to invest more time into it. Right now it's quite intense with everything that's going on, but I do intend to do so. Next question is from Jake Reynolds. He says, "Hey Beer, absolutely killing it as always." Thank you. He says, "I was just wondering if you have ever talked about your time with Toseland at all. He was one of my favourite motorbike riders, and I love his music, and I recently found out that you played with him for a while. Keep up the amazing work." You would be correct in saying that myself, Dave and Ben all recorded the first album, Renegade, with James Toseland. I was mates with a guy called Zurab, who is the lead guitar player in Toseland. He's also Katie Melua's little brother, and Katie Melua and James are married. So we hung out at ACM, me and Zurab, and got to know each other, and he used to hang out with us. And then when James wanted to do music, he decided, oh, I need a band. And Zurab was like, I know these three guys that have played together for a long time, it might be worth asking them. So he gave me a call, and back then it was like beginnings of ACM, so we were hungry for opportunity and hungry for getting into a situation where we could start exercising our professional music careers. And so we jumped at the opportunity. The songs were already written, very sort of basic demos, so we got into a room together and we sort of crafted them into into like, I suppose, cohesive songs. So things like I would sort of create transition parts and little bits here and there and change up the chords a little bit and just generally make it a bit more, yeah, like cohesive, a bit more songy, rather than it sounding quite like a demo. James had written all the songs with Toby Jepson, who was the singer of Little Angels. And anyway, yeah, we went and recorded the album, and we did a bunch of gigs, a couple of little tours and things like that. And then Ben left, maybe after nearly a year, I think it was, maybe just less. And me and Dave stayed on for a little bit, and they auditioned lots of new drummers, but it was kind of weird playing with different drummers in that scenario where you'd already recorded an album with one type of drummer, and then you go and try with others. And although it was, and we were all very tight back then as well, so we didn't feel overly comfortable with it. But we pressed on, and we played some more gigs, did some more stuff, and it got to a point where Toby was managing James, and James, the guys wanted to take it further. So what they required from us was a lot more than we wanted to do, because we were doing Dorje and we were at ACM and we were trying to do other stuff. I mean, it was right at the end of ACM, but you know, we just moved to Brighton actually. We just finished ACM, and I was wanting to focus on Dorje, so was Dave, and we kind of just realised that it wasn't, although it was fun to do the record, if it became our primary project, it wasn't really for us. I think the music was cool, but it's like kind of classic rock, and nothing wrong with classic rock, but it wasn't fulfilling enough for me personally. And you know, anyone that follows me knows what kind of music I like. And although I do love classic rock and things like Extreme, bands like that was brought up on, it's kind of like, it's not what I want to do. So we just politely declined the offer to take it more seriously, and we backed out. And that was that. And it was relatively amicable leaving, and I've spoken to James once or twice since, but they're doing really well. They've got a new band, and they've released other records since, and I wish them all the best. But it was fun. It was a good experience, and I'm glad I did it. Next question is from Bo Nichols. He says, yo yo, yo yo, how come you don't play the stock pickups in your signature? I got one of your guitars recently and I think it sounds great, so why the bare knuckles? And why don't they come in your SIGs if that's what you play? So this is a controversial question, and I've been asked this a few times, so I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm a bare knuckle artist, have been well, like maybe 2 years ago I got sort of signed up as a bare knuckle artist, but I've used bare knuckle pickups since 2007. And I've never used anything else. They're my favourite pickups of all time and space. Tim is such a legend, and I love them, and I've always used them. The reason they're not in the signature guitars is purely because they would make the guitar cost too much. Now that guitar is $11.99, I believe, in the UK. Now, kind of the way that pricing structuring works with guitars is you've got to put in a margin for retailers. There's obviously a margin in place for the people making the guitars, and obviously Chapman Guitars. It's just how it works. It's how the music business, instrument business works. Because of that scaling of price, my guitar was already quite expensive from the get-go, which means that's why it costs $11.99. If I was to put bare knuckle pickups in that guitar, then even at sort of the trade pricing that we'd get it for to put in the guitar, that guitar would probably end up costing 1,500 quid, maybe more. And I think people, you know, it's up and down. Some people are like, it's a great quality guitar, happy to pay $11.99. Some people are like, it's made in Korea, I don't believe it should cost that much, that's a rip-off. So you've always got these opposing opinions. Now, if you throw bare knuckles in the mix, you'll probably have people going, it's still a great quality guitar, and you've got bare knuckle pickups, and you know, it's cool. And then you get other people going, wow, that costs really way too much money. I can't believe it costs that much money. I'm not going to pay it. It was my decision not to put bare knuckle pickups in the guitar, and instead spec pickups with the factory that were as close to that kind of sound as possible, but not necessarily exactly the same. I wanted to make it something a little bit different, so that's why the Henchman set is kind of like an HFS slash with the War Pig. So it's got the grunt, it's got the warmth, but it's not over the top. It's the highest output pickup in the Chapman range, but it's not straight up just full on gain, you know. And I'm really happy with the way they sound, and I'm happy that people enjoy them. It's just, I'm a bare knuckle artist and I love the bare knuckle pickups, and that's why they're in my guitars. You know, if you hark back to the beginning of Chapman Guitars, the ethos was, it's a blank canvas, put whatever you want in it. It's still kind of the case. And yeah, I just love bare knuckle pickups. I don't really know if that's right or wrong, what you guys think, but I'm just telling you the truth. And, you know, I reckon this year, maybe things will change in a way with me and bare knuckle to something really cool, but that's yet to be discussed and put out there in the world, but we will see. Basically, very exciting, all good. I hope that answered your question. Next question is from Alind Judnikov. I don't know if I said that right. He says, I still want to know where that cool knot bracelet Rabea wears on his left hand came from. It's actually on my right hand. This is the one you're talking about. This came from Panama. It was handmade. This is a piece of black gold obsidian, and a guy was making it on the street, and I picked it up. I actually picked it up for Hannah, but it was too big for her wrist, so I just took it. And then this is a coin that I got in Japan for donating money to animal cruelty. Someone was collecting money on the streets, and they were giving these in exchange for donations. So I got that, and I thought I'm just going to bang it on there. So yeah, that's why that's there. I like it. It's cool. It looks good. Next question is from Ground Zero 857. Says, hey, love your tracks. If you wouldn't mind, I wanted to know, what do you do to deal with the latency when recording in your DAW? And if you have any tips or tricks to get around it. In my experience, that's always the most painful part of recording. So, as most of you may know, I use universal audio interfaces. Universal audio. I use the Apollo X8P as my primary. I've got a Apollo Twin Quad as my controller, and then I've also got Apollo 8P, which I daisy chain for extra power because they have their own processing. They don't give you any latency. That's the beauty of the universal audio gear. It has its own console, and you can monitor from there. So when I'm in Logic, I just mute my recording tracks and I listen to console and what that's monitoring, and it's zero latency, literally zero latency, so you don't notice it at all. So everything I record, I get zero latency. That's the beauty of the universal audio gear. So even if you got an Arrow, which is their most affordable, or you got an Apollo Twin Duo or a Twin Quad, that's the second most affordable. Then you go up to the Apollos. They're the most, you know, like for me, they're my favorite interfaces because the plugins are exceptional. The Unison software is incredible when it comes to, you know, the mic that you hear right now is recorded in with a Unison Manly Voxbox plugin. So it's immediately changing the impedance of the microphone and the load in, and it just sounds better. And I run Neve 1073 pre's on my, any guitar tracks you hear, it's always running through the Neve. So it's just phenomenal gear. And yeah, for zero latency. So I recommend you check them out. Next question is from Blaine Ludman. He says, hey Beer, love everything you do. Thank you very much. He says, can you show a close-up of your picking technique, because I could swear that I see you changing which side of the pick you strike with depending on what you're playing. It looks like you mostly use the bridge side of the pick on a downstroke, but switch to the headstock edge of the pick when you do your pick squeals. I hope that made sense. It didn't really make sense to me. I'm sure it does to you. I guess the easiest way would be to grab a pick. Now, let me just zoom in here. So, when I'm picking, I normally have it like this, and that's how I pick. But sometimes, I don't know if you can see that, I pick like this, and then sometimes I'll swap over and pick it from the inside and hold it like that. Generally, if I'm doing percussive rhythm stuff, I'll hold it like this, which is, if you ever saw Misha before he changed his picking technique, that's how he plays. Tosin plays like this. Yeah, holding it like this, it means I can, for some reason, I find the angle better for when I'm doing percussive stuff, but as soon as I want to pick fast or I'm chugging, I change it back to a more traditional kind of angle. I don't really know if that helped at all, but yeah, the difference is, if I hold it here, I sit it there and put my thumb over and I play like that, or I'll pick it and hold it like this. And it does change, because you can flip round like this really easily, you know? And that's generally what I do. So, yeah, maybe that helped, maybe it didn't. Maybe I'll do a video on it. How about that? I'll do a video of a close-up and talk about it in future videos. Maybe I should talk about that. Next question is from Travis Hutz. Says, when can the world expect to hear Grinding Gears Volume 2? Bea, make 2019 a great year by providing us with your new music. We respect all your work and art. Thank you very much, man. Like, that's super appreciated. Grinding Gears Volume 2 will be out in a couple of months. I've pretty much done it all, finished mixing it for the most part. I didn't want to spend tons of time on the mix and stuff, because like, they are tracks for gear demos and stuff, so I didn't want them to be, I didn't want to invest loads of time in it, because it is demos, you know, like the old one. I feel like if I spent tons of time making this record and mixing it and all that kind of stuff, it'd almost be like counterintuitive to, you know, it's not Tosca, so I wouldn't like, or Dorje or Frog Leap, you know, I wouldn't pile tons of time into it in terms of the mix. But I still feel happy with the way it sounds, and I hope you guys do too. It is mental that you guys really enjoy that stuff. Like, some of the tracks are a minute long. Yeah, which is insane. And some, you know, like, people are like, I love the fact there's a track that's a minute long, you know, like, because it's bite-sized chunks of music and it's easy to digest. And I guess, you know, if that's the case, then that's amazing. It really does mean so much that people enjoy it. So yeah, it's nearly done. I'm toying with putting one last track on it. I think it's going to be 10 tracks, possibly 11 this time. And I'm also toying with the idea of creating physical copies of Volume 1 and 2 as a 2-disc set. Limited edition, maybe sign them all. So if you're interested in picking one of those up as a concept, you can put it in the comment section below, and we kind of know what we're dealing with if you think that's a cool idea. So yeah, a couple of months. Next question is from Davey, and he says, hey Rabea, did you see Pete Cottrell play a Mastodon riff in the style of Tosca? I think he's trolling you. I did see that, and I was incredibly flattered, and I commented like, that's so cool that you'd do that. Maybe he was trolling, I don't know. He told me that he loves Tosca and he listens to it, he's got the records and he thinks it's great, and that's very cool of him. He's a fantastic player, really nice guy, so to hear that was really nice. And I think maybe it was more of a tip of the hat as opposed to a troll, but I don't know, we'll see. Either way, it was cool to see, and I was really humbled that he included Tosca in and amongst all those awesome bands. So there's a great video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think it's Mastodon riff in the style of 20 bands. Next question, and the penultimate question of this Q&A, is from Miguel G, and he says, hey man, so I've been wanting to listen to Nuno, Extreme and stuff. I just don't know where to start. What are your favourite Nuno songs, both out of curiosity, and where should I start with him? Love all your work, being a big inspiration on my guitar playing. Keep shredding. Thank you, dude. I mean, Nuno is just, he's the guy. He's my hero in the world of guitar playing, as you know, playing and stuff. The reason that I play the way I do is, my dad and Nuno are the reason that I play guitar, and the reason I play guitar like the way I like to play. I would say my favourite album is probably down to the fact that it's the creative aspect of it, the originality of it, and the fact I could hear that it was Nuno's kind of, he'd gone really deep into his creative mind to try and come up with these songs and riffs and solos, and there's 3 sides to every story. 3 sides to every story. Every track just blew me away. The lead playing was insane. You know, like Colour Me Blind lead section is is amazing. You know, Warheads for the all-out shred and beautiful, you know, it just sound incredible. You know, Rest in Peace for how to write a melodic guitar solo is Rest in Peace. Peacemaker Die, insane technique, rhythm. You have to be so tight and on the money with that. I did actually cover that solo not long ago because I made it my life goal to be able to play it, and I finally worked it out. But yeah, for me, in terms of originality and creativity and the unique approach, it would be 3 sides. Then Waiting for the Punchline, because that's raw and aggressive and punchy, and you know, it's just straight up hard rock, and there's some big riffs on there, and then guitar playing is just full of attitude, and you can hear the amps are cranked, and it's rough around the edges in all the greatest ways you could imagine. So Waiting for the Punchline, 3 sides are my favorites. If you want a roast, go for Pornograffiti, because I mean, it's their most famous album because of things like More Than Words and Get the Funk Out, and the guitar playing is exceptional. He made a name for himself off that record. But those 2 are my favourites. And then I'd say, if you really want a roast, go for the first album, because the guitar playing is probably his most technical work. So yeah, hopefully that helped. Last question of this Q&A, number 11, goes to Leonard Dentine. I hope I said your name right. He says, "Hi dude, have you ever had a day job? And how is the affordable SIG working out? PS, do a Sounds Like Tosca, please." We'll do a Sound Like Tosca maybe at some point. I mean, I don't know if anyone will watch it, but we might do. I don't know. If you want to see one, let me know. I did have a day job. So from 16, worked at a fish and chip shop, I worked at the Co-op, worked at Morrison's. You know, like just had a standard job, you know, like teenager job, you know, stacking shelves. Then I went back to college to do art, and then I did that for a few years, and then the band started to get serious, Chasing Jade. So we got full-time jobs, and I went to a place called Abbey National in Bradford to work in probate and bereavement, which is closing down accounts of people that have died. And that was a savage job. That was it was a brutal job, really depressing. And then after that, I went to work in Bradford and Bingley, doing debt collection, you know, taking accounts into litigation for people that weren't paying their mortgages, just admin stuff, office jobs. After that, worked for Ben's dad's company with Ben and Dave, but I think, you know, working with your mates is probably not the best idea in a place like that where you're left to your own devices. So we messed about and I left. I got sacked. Not in a bad way, I just didn't work properly because I was too distracted having fun with my friends. So yeah, that happened. And then I went to work in Acorn Stairlifts, selling stairlifts to old people on the phone, cold calling. It was such a demoralizing job, you know. It didn't feel nice ringing old people and being like, can you spend loads of money on a stairlift? I didn't like it, so I didn't stay there long. And then I went to work in another debt collection office, but with business lending, so companies where they, you know, hotels and things like that were late on their payments, I would have to either fine them or put them into litigation. It was harsh, but the people in that job were amazing. I had a really good time with all the friends I met there. A guy called Mark Sunderland, who is an absolute dude. Neil, both legends. Yeah, anyway, I worked those jobs, and it was for a long time. And then we decided we'd had enough of full-time work. We wanted to try and do the band seriously, and we weren't getting anywhere in Leeds, in Bradford. So we thought the best thing to do is go closer to the centre. So we went down to Guildford, to ACM. We thought, student loans, free time, you're only in lectures like a few days a week, you got more free time than ever, and you got money to support yourself, so make the most of it. Do that 3 years of degree and just hammer it, see where you get. And I was still worked in bars down there. I worked at the Stoke where I met Rob, and I worked at the Boiler Room behind the bar. And then, you know, after that, things started turning into this, I guess, thanks to Rob and, you know, working hard. And now we're here. So I think I haven't had a normal job since I moved to Brighton, really. And I can't tell you how grateful and lucky and fortunate and privileged I am to be in this position where you guys are allowing me to, by supporting me and following me and watching my videos and all that stuff, you know, means I can do this as a job and the bands I could still do without having to worry too much. You know, a lot of bands still have jobs. I just feel incredibly lucky and jammy. But I really do appreciate it, so thank you very much. The affordable SIGs, we've finalised the spec, so I'm going to get some new prototypes, and as soon as I get those, I will show you guys how they're coming along. I can't wait to see how they end up, and as soon as I've got more information, I will let you know. But they have been put in a pile of other Chapman guitars that are going to be in the works, so honestly, I don't know when I'm going to get the second prototypes, but when I do, I will let you know. But it is in motion. It isn't just put on a shelf. It is actually happening. I was with Dave. We submitted the final spec a couple of weeks ago, so it's going ahead. And as soon as I know more, I will let you know. And that would conclude Ask the Fro number 11. Thank you all for the questions. If you have any more, put them in the comment section below. Thanks again to our sponsors, Musicism. Go check them out, musicism.net. You can learn $9.99, learn off me, Hannah, Dave. It's an awesome thing. 25% off if you get the unique code. Links in the description box. Ask me more questions. As always, thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Rabea. This is my Afro. That was Ask the Fro number 11. I'll see you later.